Do you think Javon Kinlaw will have a breakout season this year?
Yeah, I think he's on schedule. I think if you look at, I tweeted about this before. If you look at defensive tackles in the past, they don't always just jump out in the first
That's
year and
true.
have great
Chris
years.
Jones didn't.
Chris Jones, Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp's first year he had 3 sacks.
Ooh.
Like Chris Jones, the Stephon Tuitt, Cameron Hayward, like those guys both had, I think, 1.5 and one sacks their first year. I think maybe one of them had, I think, had 2 sacks in his second year too. I mean, so it's players do develop, and especially defensive tackles. Like not everyone's going to be Aaron Donald and come out, shoot, and just be a monster. I think he's in a prime position to really have a good second year, and I think he's shown flashes. It's not like he hasn't been impactful. And after watching some tape, remember what you used to say about Buckner, about how when Buckner was here his last year, they would use him in the 1 tech, and he was taking on double teams. That was Javon Kinlaw, and if he was at the 3 tech, Salah was stunting him and stunting him to take on 2 blockers. So it's hard for him to accumulate those rushes.
Very interesting.
He was doing a lot of stuff. Like remember in his last game he played in was Dallas, and Armstead got his sack because Kinlaw did a Justin Smith and took the guard with him, the guard and tackle with him, and he was able to come around. Like that was on, and you could see Kinlaw celebrates it because he knows he was the one that created the sack.
Yeah. So what you're saying is on a base down, he could be your 3 technique, but when it's time to rush the quarterback on 3rd and whatever, he's best suited in the A gap and he's a load.
I think he can. I think you got to let him single up. That's the thing. It's like not every defensive tackle is going to be able to go out there and beat double teams. I mean, Aaron Donald could do it, but Aaron Donald's like a freak. Like, and I think
true.
Giving Nick Bosa and Samson Ebukam will give some of those opportunities where he's got to get singled up because attention is going to go to Bosa. If you can kick Armstead inside now, more attention is going to go to Armstead because Armstead's a different pass rusher when he's inside compared to when he's outside. He's harder to deal with. And then just the other part of it is just player development, and just he's got to learn to use those long arms of him.
Here's what I've seen from Kinlaw though. Like if you were to put him in the B gap on a 3rd and medium, it's the same thing as like in the 1-on-1 drills in training camp. He doesn't work an edge. He's caught up in a bull rush, and a lot of times he can stalemate. Like he's very powerful. He'll move the guy a little bit, but a lot of times he can get stalemated even in a 1-on-1. So what I think is cool about playing him in the A gap is there are very few centers who can block him 1-on-1. He's so big and centers aren't. So just by putting him there, you threaten that center and you kind of force the double team, which is what Salah was doing with DeForest Buckner. And now you've got 1-on-1s for other people, for your better pass rushers. I mean, if you can get the defense to double team Kinlaw, that's what you want because he's not a natural pass rusher, but he's a freaking load. I mean, he's a very good player. I think that makes sense.
I think what I'd like you to do is when you do get to training camp is look and see if he has a go-to pass, because that's essentially what you want to have as a go-to. You want to have a go-to pass rush, and then you want to have counters off of that.
Right.
And the key to pass rush is not because most defensive line can actually execute or move. Yeah. It's being able to read the situation and then read what move accounts for what situation.
Sure.
Is he too far? Is the offensive line setting inside, outside? And then when you give him that initial move, whatever your go-to move is when he counters your move, like, are you able to read that in time to give him your counter and then win the matchup? And that's what Nick Bosa does.
That's
really
what Buckner does. That's what true pass rushers can do. Does Armstead do that? No. Does Kinlaw do that? Not yet. But they're still good players.
No, right. Because you just don't want to get, like, as a pass rusher, like, you don't want to guess. You don't be like, all right, well, in this down, I'm gonna swim move him, and it's not going to work unless the offensive lineman gives you that low shoulder. If you're just guessing, then it's just pure chance.
Yeah, exactly, and you won't put up the numbers that someone like Bosa or Buckner would.
Correct.
So Kinlaw, he will definitely benefit from Bosa's return, and I do think that his presence in the A gap, while he may not rack up numbers could help others, which I made that point for Buckner as well. So he doesn't necessarily have to put up numbers to make an impact, and I'll be watching the film and point it out if he does what Buckner did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think they clearly wanted to replace that function that Buckner had in the third down off defense. And, Kinlaw is even bigger than Buckner. I mean, he's very hard for a center.
And he has longer arms than Buckner.
That's true.
He has longer arms than both Armstead and Buckner, and both those guys are 2 inches taller than him.